with the shot. His 45-point night versus the LA Clippers leaves the Golden State Warriors in awe, including 2 game-defining three-pointers in the final 2 minutes to help secure the win. Steve Kerr just running out of adjectives.
Even though we've all been here watching it, I'm still blown away. There's never been anybody like him, and not just the shooting range, but just the competitiveness and the guts, and just amazing player. What a game he had.
Once you saw the first couple go in, it was just staying aggressive. Same thing I try to do all the time. I don't know if I've had a perfect start like that before, but it was just a good flow from the jump, and have fun out there.
Like that blazer, too, with the white detail. Stephen A., are folks sleeping on Steph and the Warriors?
They are. And I've been on the record, KP, on many occasions bringing up the Warriors because I've been of the mindset that if Klay Thompson comes back healthy, the Warriors are going to the conference finals. Mm-hmm. I'd like to modify that. If Klay Thompson comes back healthy, Kendrick Perkins, the Warriors might win it all. I really mean it. I'm not playing with anybody. Let me tell you something right now. Maybe one day Steve Kerr will admit that after going to 5 straight NBA finals and winning 3 championships that he'd probably be retired if he wasn't coaching Steph Curry. Because Steph Curry is the kind of person that will stretch your career because all of a sudden you don't mind going to work. It's just like you doing what you do, KP, me doing what we do, I do. You know what? We love what we do, so it doesn't feel like work, and as a result, because it doesn't feel like work, we think we could do this for a lengthier period of time. That's what Steve Kerr is really speaking about right now. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created. I don't care what anybody says. There has never, ever been a dude off the dribble, standing still, from the key, from the wings, from the corner, 20, 30, 40, sometimes 50 feet. This brother is unbelievable, okay? And when I think about him, and then I think about Klay coming back, who is one of the top 5 shooters in the history of basketball. Let's throw that up in there, right? Then we think about the rest of this crew. I'm looking at Jordan Poole. Brother could play, averaging 14 and a half a game. Brother could play. Andrew Wiggins, he's no slouch. He has shown up thus far. I'm thinking about Wiseman coming back. I'm thinking about the pickup of Otto Porter, who coaches have been telling me, KP, they've been raving about Otto Porter. I know we saw him on Shaq and the Fool, which is the most funniest. It's the funniest Shaq and the Fool skit ever when Otto Porter just standing on the wing and forget for 5 years ago. Hilarious. Wait a minute. None of us was caught standing still while a guy we were defending ran to the opposite side of the court. I mean, that's an all-timer. But Otto Porter is smart. He's a veteran. I'm just looking at this roster right now. The Warriors may win it all. They may win it all this year. It all comes down to the health of Klay Thompson. That's where I'm at, KP.
You know what, Stephen A, is so hard to argue with you on that point, right? But here's my argument. I do have the Golden State Warriors getting to the Western Conference. I say that, you know, they have enough talent. We all know how special.
Western Conference
Western
Finals?
Conference Finals.
Okay, you said Western Conference. I'm saying I just wanted to make sure you said Finals. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Western Conference Finals. And we know how special Steph Curry is. And what I'm watching about the Warriors is their culture. And we know about the Lakers. But it's one team that we're sleeping on right now. It's one team that we're sleeping on. And before I get to that team, let me tell you why I wouldn't pick the Warriors to win it all. Because Draymond Green is not the Draymond Green of old. He still has the high IQ, but his talent has taken a step down, right? He looked like a tight end playing basketball last night. I mean, he looked horrible. But past that, the Utah Jazz are over there just sitting there quiet. The Utah Jazz. And people are sleeping on them. I know last year it didn't end well for them. Mike Conley was hurt in and out of the lineup. But when you look at what they have, they're not lacking at anything. They have rim protection. They have a lob threat in Rudy Gobert. They have Donovan Mitchell, who is a superstar, a walking bucket. Now you pair him alongside Mike Conley, Bogdanovich, who knocked down 3 after 3. You have Joe Ingles, who does all the little things and could shoot the lights out. And then you bring it in Jordan Clarkson, the sixth man of the year, former sixth man of the year from last year. So when I look at the Golden State Warriors, it wouldn't be surprised me if they happen to get to the finals. I wouldn't be surprised. But what I'm telling you, I would not jump on the limb and say, even with a healthy Klay, that they could win the title. They can't win the title because Draymond Green has taken a step back offensively. He used to, remember Stephen A., he had some big moments where Draymond Green used to get 25, 30 points. Yeah, a lot of those games. And we haven't saw that Draymond in a long time.
Let me come back at you with that couple of things. I'm glad you brought this up because basketball talk, you know I love it. Here's the deal. I'm going to tell you why I think you're wrong. First of all, there's no doubt that Draymond Green took a step back. But I don't think he's incapable of taking a step forward. What we're really talking about is he lost his shot. Over the last 2 or 3 years, Draymond Green ain't shooting the damn basketball well. But that's about it. When I see his athleticism, when I see his motor, when I see his defensive tenacity and abilities, I don't see shrinkage there. It's just that he's not making shots. He got to get in the gym and continue to work on improving his perimeter shot. That's a tall ask. I get that. But that's it. What I would also say to you, KP, is this. They won a title with Andrew Bogut. They won the title with Zsa Pachulia, okay? I don't care. James Wiseman, he comes back healthy with Looney as a backup, with Jordan Poole, with Andrew Wiggins, all right, with the Otto Porters of the world, with Damian Lee. Let's not forget him. I think they got a shot. Now let me get to your point about Utah. I love me some Donovan Mitchell. And please, I would ask that if you got any love for me whatsoever, KP, please don't bring up Donovan Mitchell because the Knicks should have drafted him. Remember, I was in New York, Kendrick Perkins, and I was screaming for the New York Knicks to draft this dude, all right? And they didn't draft him. They drafted Frank Ntilikina. Don't get me started, okay? Don't get me started. I'm in a good mood. I don't feel like being aggravated. But really, I mean, when I think about Donovan Mitchell at Madison Square Garden, my God. And that's what they passed up on. Now, the rest of his crew, they can play. I'm a Clarkson fan. I think he is who he is no matter where he goes. The rest of them, man, I covered that whole Clippers series, man. I'm just... They disappoint me come postseason time. I just don't believe in Utah. I believe in Donovan Mitchell. I don't believe in Utah.
But let me say this to you, Stephen A. Experience matters, especially in this Western Conference that they have with the teams like the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Suns, the Jazz. Experience matters, right? Andrew Wiggins, he don't have that much playoff experience. Jordan Poole, not that much playoff experience. And we talk about James Wiseman, but we only seen the sample size, and his sample size really didn't live up to the hype like we expected it to. He still have a lot of growing to do. When you talk about guys like Andrew Bogut, you talk about guys like JaVale McGee, you have to go back and watch. Those guys were vital to the Warriors' success. Being a lob threat at the basket, protecting the rim, anchoring that defense. Because God knows if Draymond Green happens to get in foul trouble, which is a strong possibility with the bigs that you have to guard the West with, Jokic and Anthony Davis. If he gets into foul trouble, who are you going to lean on? That's my thing. I'm a big man. I always harp on interior defense. You got to have a big in order to win the championship. Giannis and Brook Lopez was the bigs for the Milwaukee Bucks last year.
All right, let's leave it on that note because it's time for your daily Philly update where there's no brotherly love. So here's the latest on Ben Simmons in that Sixers saga. Our Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that Simmons left the team's practice facility on Thursday without working out and is expected to meet with organizational leadership this morning to again discuss his murky playing status. Sources telling ESPN the Sixers host the Nets tonight on ESPN. GM Daryl Morey, what do you do now?
Right now, any sort of trade, which obviously Ben Simmons wants, the best thing we can do is get role players back. That makes no sense. People should buckle in. I mean, this is going to go a long time because our only path, my only job is to help us give the best chance to win the title. Ben Simmons is a difference maker, so if we can get him back, he will help us win the title. If we can trade Ben Simmons for a difference maker, we will do it. You're going to think I'm kidding. I'm not. This could be 4 years.
Kendrick, talk to me.
You know, Molly, I'm exhausted with this whole situation, okay? And it's so toxic from both parts, right? I feel like when you're going through this type of thing, you should try to keep this in-house as much as possible. And I love Daryl Morey. Daryl Morey is a close friend of mine. We communicate often. But for him to do radio interviews right now at this moment about the situation, I don't like it, right? And I'm also cool, and I have a great relationship with Rich Paul, right? And I tell Rich Paul, hey, man, listen, I don't like the way that Ben Simmons is handling this situation. The man showed up to practice with a cell phone in his pocket. You know, it's a certain type of professionalism that you got to have about yourself. And here's the problem that I have on another note. People are looking at Ben Simmons and saying, you know what? It's all Rich Paul. No, it's not Rich Paul. Rich Paul, his job is to make sure that he give his client advice. If his client don't accept it, he has to back up his client and support his client on whatever he wants to do. Now, I will say this, Stephen A., Molly, in my opinion, this is bigger. This is bigger than just the 76ers and Ben Simmons. This is coming to the level of owners versus players, right? Because if anybody out there in the world think for one moment that that owners around the league are not talking about this situation in-house and telling the ownership of the Philadelphia 76ers to stand their ground, they're crazy. This is about making a statement more so than anything else.
Well, there's a couple of layers to what you're saying. I'll take it one by one, the latter part that you mentioned. Yesterday, a high-ranking league official says to me, Kendrick Perkins, he texts me, quote, Ben Simmons' actions will have a negative impact on player empowerment at the bargaining table. You just wait and see. So that's just the buffer, the point that you just made. You see, one of the things, if you remember, and before I get into Ben Simmons, it's very, very important that I bring this up because a lot of people didn't get this. When LeBron James, years ago, Kendrick Perkins, and put Kendrick up on the screen, please, because I want to see him when I'm saying this. When LeBron James announced that he was taking his talents to South Beach, remember the firestorm that created? I'm not talking about with fans. I'm not talking about folks in Cleveland. I'm talking about amongst ownership. And I'm not even talking about just Dan Gilbert. You had a lot of owners that were turned off because Dan Gilbert was never given the heads up. And they had a problem with how LeBron James handled his departure from Cleveland. Now, we might not have a problem with it because LeBron James showed up to work every day. He was the star. He carried the mantle. He practiced. He played. He did all the things the right way, except that. Why was that relevant? Because a collective bargaining negotiation was coming up. Remember, CP3 had gotten traded to the Lakers, and somehow that deal got nixed because David Stern was and the league office were the de facto owners because they were looking for new ownership in New Orleans. So CP3 was supposed to go to the Lakers, and the deal ended up getting nixed because owners were complaining. A collective bargaining agreement followed thereafter. Basketball-related income was trimmed from 57% to 50% on behalf of the players, taking away millions. A lot of people, even though they were coming for that anyway, a lot of people pointed to player empowerment per se as an excuse for the fervor that they put forth towards the negotiating table. Now, true or not, they tried to use LeBron James as an example, who is as model of a citizen and a superstar as it gets. And they used him as leverage. What the hell you think they're going to do when it comes to Ben Simmons? Okay? So now we get to Ben Simmons specifically. Certainly we can't sit up there and blame Rich Paul. It's not his fault. This is Ben Simmons. It is your job, however, as an agent to try to coax your guy into doing good business. Once you sign a deal and you got 4 years and $147 million, even though it's not Rich Paul's fault, we can't completely absolve him from the situation in terms of influencing his client to make better decisions so you can ultimately get that client what he wants. That is an obligation that he has that is yet to be fulfilled. Ben Simmons is the major culprit in all of this because he's coming across as a big baby who just doesn't want to go in front of those Philadelphia fans. He's scared to death of the reaction and the retribution they will exact against him because he's coming across as if his performance against Atlanta was their fault. The other element in the room, the elephant in the room, that is a big element, he don't like Joel Embiid. And I think we've learned crystal clearly, I might add, that Joel Embiid don't like him, nor does he respect him. He considers him a big baby and a brat, and he ain't interested in babysitting. He wouldn't even acknowledge his name when he says, I don't care about that man. And then, of course, you've got Daryl Morey, who, by the way, here's the part I disagree with you about, KP. I was the one that called Daryl Morey out a couple of days ago. Where the hell are you? The reason why I wanted him to do interviews was because of this one reason and one reason only, KP. What the hell is Doc Rivers doing talking? This is Daryl Morey. You're the president of basketball operations. You're the one that's got to make a deal. Now, if Doc Rivers and them weren't talking about it, that's different. But when Doc Rivers got to come out front and center to speak about things, he ain't the one on the phone that got to make a deal for Ben Simmons. That's Daryl Morey. So I appreciate Daryl Morey going on my man Mike Missinelli's show in Philadelphia and saying what he said because we needed to hear from Daryl Morey. Now that we've heard from him, it's clear. Ben Simmons ain't going no damn place unless they get the right deal for him because they ain't going to give him away for 20 cents on the dollar. And Ben Simmons, as a result, in all likelihood, is either going to have to sit out and lose money or he's going to be forced to come back and do the one thing he don't want to do, and that's face that Philadelphia crowd.
Stephen A. Molly, when we had this conversation about two or 3 weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
What did I say, right? I said about the CBA. I said that the owners were going to be waiting 3 or 4 years from now about the CBA. And you know what's so messed up? You know the thing that disappointed me the most is that, and I'm going to say this, it had guys that came before Ben Simmons that played their role to the T to make sure that he was able to sign $150+ million on the contract. It's Ben Simmons' job, along with everybody else that is in the NBA, to make sure that they continue to do their part as being a true professional so that the next generation that's coming up under them could get the same type of opportunity to make the same type of money. That's what frustrates me the most about Ben Simmons in this situation. I don't care that he want to get out of Philly. My grandpa always used to tell me, it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's not handling it right.
You're 100% right.
Yeah, and
and
it's gonna
not
bite.
paying it for it. He's hindering the next
Well,
generation.
listen, it's really easily resolvable. All you got to do is go before the Philly fans. You understand? I don't want to be here, whatever, but until I'm gone, I'm going to work my tail off to help the team that I'm on win basketball games. As long as you do that, it's fine. For him not to even be able to do that, he comes across as incredibly weak-minded and weak mentally. He cannot...
Category. Kendrick Perkins. Can you hear me, sir? There he is. Yes, he can. Perk, I'll start with you. Is this LeBron's most challenging path to a title?
Hell no, Molly. No, and no. Like, and anybody think different is crazy. I'm here to tell you right now.
I'm crazy, damn it.
The biggest challenge...
We know that.
Yeah, we already know that. We already know that. So that just just from hearing your tone, I know you about to disagree with me, and I knew we couldn't go a whole show without getting into it. So I'm ready to make some hamburgers because I got beef. Listen, when LeBron James went back to Cleveland, okay,
Right.
that was his hardest path. Remember, Dan Gilbert, he called the man a Benedict Arnold when he left to go to South Beach. You know, I was in that locker room, not when he won the title, but I was there the 2 years before then when he had lost to Golden State, And do you know how hard it is being in the locker room when a guy, your franchise guy, the face of the league, and LeBron James and Dan Gilbert, the owner, don't even speak to one another. It's strictly business. So then you take it to this championship that he won against a 73-9 team, the Golden State Warriors, right? Arguably the best team that was ever assembled. I mean, it was 73-9. Being down 3-1 in the NBA Finals. And LeBron James came and walked that down and won the championship. That was his hardest path and will be his hardest path ever in his career.
Oh, please. That is utterly ridiculous. First of all, let me tell you something right now. I got a new nickname for you. It's affectionate, though, because it's beautiful. I'm just looking at the way you look right now. Santa Perk. That works for me with the beard and the whole bit. I mean, if you put on the Santa Claus outfit, Santa Perk. That's what we gonna go to Santa Perk. That's what we gonna call you from now on, or Uncle Perk. Either way works. But here's the deal. I get where you coming from, bro, because you brought in the emotion and the LeBron James, the Dan Gilbert relationship. You obviously is intimately involved in it. You know all about that stuff. I get all of that. Here's the flip side to it. I took the liberty, Kendrick Perkins, of hearkening back to what road LeBron James had to go through in order to win the chip. So we got the Detroit Pistons that they took out in 4 games. They weren't much back in 2016. You know that. Then after that, it was the Atlanta Hawks. Before Trae Young got to town, they weren't much to brag home about. We know that. Then you had the Toronto Raptors. Now with Kawhi Leonard, with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry and those boys. And you know LeBron had their number for years. The road to prosperity, it wasn't that tough. Now, when you went against Golden State, that's different. Here's my issue. You know good and damn well if Kendrick Perkins hadn't got suspended. You understand what I'm saying? In that game 4, when LeBron dropped him on the floor and Kendrick Perkins kicked his feet up, but because he had kicked his feet up one too many times in the postseason, Adam Silver in the NBA decides to give LeBron James a damn stimulus package, suspending Draymond Green for that game 5. Andrew Bogut and Iguodala got hurt in game 5. They weren't any good for the rest of the series, and as a result, even when Draymond came back, they were handicapped. Golden State should have took them out at 5. Now we get to now, and this is why I completely disagree with you. You see what's going on in the Western Conference, my brother. You see what's going on. When LeBron James went to Miami, your role was Indiana. When you went to Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love, your role was Golden State. Now that you in LA, you got Golden State as a problem. You saw the Clippers last night, and that was without Kawhi Leonard. I got news for you. With Ty Lue, who you recognize and I recognize as arguably the best coach in basketball, you got him to go through. You got Phoenix, the reigning Western Conference champions. We can't sniff at them. I'm looking at you got Utah that you just finished blowing up. Jamal Murray is going to be back for Denver with the Joker and Michael Porter Jr., who's ascended. And I'm not going to just summarily dismiss Portland. I know Dallas looked awful last night. I'm certainly not going to count them as a title contender, but Luka makes some noise. You never know. When you look at all of these damn teams in the Western Conference and what you got to deal with during the regular season, just to position yourself appropriately for postseason action, that's where I get in terms of, all right, the road ain't going to be easier for LeBron.
Well, answer this for me, Stephen A.
Sure.
Answer this.
Sure.
Who has the best roster in the Western Conference? Out of all those teams you name, who has the best roster?
Right now, it's the Lakers.
Yeah, for sure, right? 6 future Hall of Famers.
Okay.
6 future Hall of Famers.
Okay.
You're talking about LeBron James and Anthony Davis, right? Mm-hmm. So that's 2 players that are arguably top 10 players in today's game.
No, I think both of them are easily top 6. Top 6, yes.
Okay, yeah, in the top 10, because Anthony Davis is going to fall at 6, so they put him in the top 10, right? And then you have Russell Westbrook, which one could argue puts him in the top 15, okay? And then you have Carmelo Anthony, you have Rajon Rondo, you have Dwight Howard, you have everything in the world. They have the best roster. They should be able to beat everybody. You know why? Because they're stacked, right? So one could argue that this might be the most talented roster that LeBron James has ever had. So that's why I'm going to go against your argument about how strong the Western Conference is, because this is the most help that he's had since he's been playing.
Well, it's relative, because the bottom line is he might have had less help when he was in Cleveland or when he was in Miami, but they were still the favorites. They still had the better talent. They were still the creme de la creme that everybody was shooting for. So what I'm saying to you is that I'm looking at the level of competition. You're looking at the roster he's playing with. I'm looking at the competition. When he was in Miami, it was Indiana with Paul George and the crew. When he was in Cleveland, it was Golden State, because there wasn't really anybody in the East that could mess with them. Now that he's in the West, I gave you 5 teams. I gave you Utah. I gave you the Clippers. I gave you Phoenix. I gave you Denver. Okay? And I'm just saying to you, you can't ignore that reality. There are more teams there to give them a run for their money. He's always been, in terms of those situations in Miami, Cleveland, and this season, those championship years, he's always been the team to beat in his respective conference. The difference is now you don't just have one team. You got multiple teams that got a chance to make some noise against him.
All right.
You know I'm going to get you back, though.
I know you're going to get me back because I got you on this one. It's all right.
No. I wasn't talking about the argument. I'm talking about the Santa Claus. The Santa Claus look. I'm going to get you back. I'm going to get you back.
I think you look very handsome. You got the fresh shape up. I like it.
We didn't say it very nice. I
didn't think Santa at all.
The brother looked bad. He just looked like Santa Perk. That's all. We didn't say he looked bad.
Perk, I'm talking to you. So LeBron was obviously a part of the NBA 75th anniversary team, but some notable names left off. What was your biggest issue with that list, Perk?
Ooh, Molly, first of all, let me say this.
Okay.
Doing the top 75 list is hard as hell, okay? Because I did one, and it is hard. It took me 6 hours. But I will say this. I am so disappointed at this list because Dwight Howard gets disrespected so much, it's ridiculous, right? We all think about the Dwight Howard, you know, when he played for Charlotte or when he played for Atlanta or towards the end of his career, now that he's being a role player playing for the Lakers. But we forget about that monster that was down there in Orlando. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, leading the league in blocks damn near every season. 4-time rebounding champ. I mean, the guy was averaging 20 and 10. It was at one point when he was in Orlando, it was a discussion. We had a discussion about whether he was the best player in the NBA. And at that time, you had Kobe Bryant, you had LeBron James, you had multiple others, Dwayne Wade, and we were talking about, is Dwight Howard the best player? Now, talking about the top 75 list, if I'm going to add Dwight Howard, who am I taking off?
Okay.
I just don't see how you put Bill Walton on that list before Dwight Howard. That is the most disturbing thing I've seen in the last 6 months. The most disturbing thing I've seen in the last 6 months. Bill Walton on that list over Dwight Howard.
Okay, Perk.
I like that word, disturbing. Good choice.
Put Perk up on the screen, please. Put Perk on the screen, please. Because I have to see him when I say this. You know, Perk, I'm going to forgive you, you know, because, see, even though you big Perk, Uncle Perk and all stuff, you know, you are relatively younger than me. Let Stephen Naismith, Papa Smith speak a few words of wisdom. Let me sprinkle this on you, okay? You might not have been born when Bill Walton was with the Portland Trail Blazers and you saw him take out Dr. J and McGinnis and all of these boys. Bill Walton was special. The only reason why Bill Walton slid in a lot of people's eyes is because he was no Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was no Wilt Chamberlain, and he was no Bill Russell. That's different because that's an elite, the elite of elite. But Bill Walton was one of the most dominant big men presence ever. Okay, that's number one. Number two, Dwight Howard, love Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is a top 100 player in NBA history. Top 75 was hard, bro. Top 75. And I got to tell myself, because I had a vote, and obviously it took me. Took you 6 hours, Perk? I got to tell myself, bro, it took me 2 to 3 weeks. I was struggling. I kept going back and forth, back and forth. I was calling Hall of Famers. I was on the phone with them. I was going back and forth, debating stuff like that because of who you got to leave off, okay? I left. It breaks my heart because I love these brothers, and I think they top 100. But I had to leave off Vince Carter. I had to leave off Tracy McGrady. I damn sure wasn't leaving off AI. I'll tell you that much. I wasn't leaving off D-Wade. And I'll tell you who else I wasn't leading off, because this is my biggest beef with the team. I'm still looking because I want to make sure I'm not going blind, because as I've gotten older, Kendrick Perkins, I have to confess, I have to wear reading glasses now. Kendrick Perkins, I got to wear reading glasses. I can't just read no more, bro. I got to put on the reading glasses. You know, it's just, I got to put on. I'm looking for it, you know what I'm saying? Because I didn't see Klay Thompson on this list. 3-time champion Klay Thompson. One of the top 5 shooters in NBA history, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, who's provided evidence over the last 2 years of what the Golden State Warriors are without Klay Thompson. That Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, who was an elite defender while he was a top 5 shooter, en route to going to 5 straight NBA finals and winning 3 chips. That guy is not on this list. That is a much bigger snub than Dwight Howard. And I'll take it a step further. What really bothers me is that Klay Thompson has now been snubbed twice. Do you know that the media, I wouldn't blame Klay Thompson if he never spoke to the media again in life. This brother was due to get, you know where I'm going. This brother, Molly, was due to get the max extension of over $220 million. The media didn't make him a third-team All-NBA. They picked Kemba Walker instead. No disrespect to Kemba, but they picked Kemba Walker instead. And Klay Thompson, the most he could get, according to the rules, CBA rules, the most he could get was $191 million or so. That media cost Klay Thompson $30 million. If that man never spoke to the media again, I wouldn't blame him. Now, I ain't talking about myself, because I damn sure voted for him. I damn sure voted for him. Tell you that much. Klay Thompson.
You see, Perk?
Molly,
time to move on.
Molly, you know what? You know what that is?
Carry on.
You know what that is?
No.
That's how they used to dribble back in the day when Stephen A. said I wasn't born. Some of the guys on the list when they was dribbling the ball. And
Dak took to Instagram last week to clown my gut on ESPN. The Lakers host the Suns as well, both looking for their first win. And it's time for some GOAT talk. With that being said, earlier this week, Shaquille O'Neal had some interesting comments about LeBron for the LA Times, saying this: I know what he's doing. Championships are great, but he's trying to pass up Kareem. That's what he's doing. I know exactly what he's doing, because now if you pass Kareem up, there ain't no talk about who the best player ever is. He's got 4 rings, and he becomes the highest scorer in the NBA history. He's the best ever, and there's nothing you can say. Okay, Stephen A. So Shaq says that if LeBron becomes the highest scorer in NBA history, he will be the GOAT. And currently, LeBron needs just under 3,000 points to pass Kareem. So, Stephen A., can LeBron go down as the greatest of all time? No,
not to me. And let me be very clear in addressing Shaquille O'Neal, my little big brother, who I love dearly. That brother knows when he's saying something ignorant, and he just did. And he did it on purpose. I'm going to get him here. And let me tell you why. Because based on what Shaquille O'Neal's description of it, Kendrick Perkins, is, I guess we can say Karl Malone's the best, is the second best player of all time. Karl Malone retired as the second greatest player in NBA history. I mean, that's what we doing now? That's what we doing? It's about points now? That's what we doing? No. It's not just about points. It's about the chip. And it's not just about the chip. It's about the road you travel to get to that point. And where people are missing my point, and I know Kendrick Perkins disagrees, but that's okay. you know, because I understand how phenomenal LeBron is. He's on the Mount Rushmore. I got him number 2 all time in the history of basketball. I mean, stop the presses, Kendrick Perkins. I don't know if you noticed, but this is an incredible insult to the people who love LeBron James. How dare me say he's number 2 all time? I mean, I just sliced his career. I've just discredited him. I've just said, yo, you a scrub. You're horrible. I got him number 2 in the history of basketball since it started being played in 1946 and became the NBA in 1950. I got him number 2 all time. And you would think I've crucified this man, but so be it. Here's the deal. I saw what Jordan had to endure to get to where he was and to stay there. And the NBA game was very different back then, significantly rougher, and the road to prosperity was very, very much harder, okay? And that is what stands out in my mind. To be 6-0 in NBA Finals, all right? 6 NBA Finals MVPs, unblemished in championship round competition. Would have won 8-0 if he hadn't retired after his father passed away. In championship rounds, completely owned the entire decade without a blemish. I'm telling you right now, to me, because of that, and because of what I saw from the Bad Boy Pistons, because of what I saw from the Knicks, because of the Cleveland Cavaliers with Mark Price, Larry Nance, Matt Doherty, and those boys, because of all of those teams, the Phoenix Suns, Sean Kemp and Gary Payton in Seattle, Barkley and Marley and Kevin Johnson in Phoenix, and all of that other stuff, what I saw is what I saw. And to me, LeBron can't eclipse that. I'm going to always have MJ number 1 if the question is whether or not LeBron James or him is number 1. It's going to always be MJ for me.
You know why? You know why? Because as you get older, like my grandmother, right, 86 years old, and I go to her house and, you know, sometimes she does things that aggravate me. And I have to remind myself that the old saying, old people are what, Stephen A? They're stuck in their ways.
Stuck in their ways.
Okay?
Yes,
and you know what? And you and I have been having great conversation on here, and we're going to continue to have great conversation today because I'm not going to let you raise my blood pressure up. I'm not about to sit up here and dive into, you know, how much pressure LeBron James had out of probably the most pressure out of any athlete in sports history. I'm not about to go into that today. I'm not about to go into how you just talked about Shaquille O'Neal saying the points and passing up Kareem and left out the fact that he said that he had 4 titles when you tried to make your Karl Malone comparison. I'm not going to even point that out today. But this is what I will tell you.
Kareem has 6 titles, but go ahead.
No. I'm saying you said that's what we're doing now when you were talking about Karl Malone.
Got it.
But Shaq said that he has 4 titles. I think Shaq is telling the truth. And look, here's a problem. This is the problem that I have when you come on here talking about these different eras, okay? I was in that era. I may look way older than LeBron James, and I understand I done gained 70 pounds of retirement weight, and I get all that, right? But we came into the NBA at the same time, where he had to go against a Paul Pierce, a Joe Johnson, a Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. The list goes on. And I don't want to come on here and discredit Thunder Dan, but do you know what LeBron James would have did to Thunder Dan or Jeff Hornacek?
Without question.
Or any of those guys? And I don't even want to bring up my guy Kevin Johnson because he just opened up this fabulous restaurant right next door to the ESPN studio, that soul food spot that I went to this past couple days.
Yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah. Spot there?
Look.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's
right on the corner.
Yes, right on the corner. I eat there every day. The oxtails are off the chain, by the way.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Stephen A., we're starting to see multiple players come out and say this. You know, Shaq done said it. We hear the great Magic Johnson starting to lean that way. We hear other former players starting to say the same thing. Sooner or later, you're going to get on board with us, and you're going to realize that LeBron James is just different. No disrespect to Michael Jordan, because I got Michael Jordan number 2 on my list. And by the way, every time you see me, I don't have LeBron on my feet. I have the J's on my feet. I love Michael Jordan. But at the end of the day, LeBron James is just something different.
Yeah,
whatever.
We don't have time to fully deal with this because Molly's deal is coming up next. I got to get people paid. Big Perk, it is so good to see you. You haven't been on the show lately. We need you on
Me too,
more.
Molly.
And we'll
this roster right now, the Warriors may win it all. They may win it all this year. It all comes down to the health of Klay Thompson. That's where I'm at, KP.
You know what, Stephen A, is so hard to argue with you on that point, right? But here's my argument. I do have the Golden State Warriors getting to the Western Conference. I say that, they have enough talent. We all know how special.
Western Conference
Western
Finals?
Conference Finals.
Okay, you said Western Conference. I'm saying I just wanted to make sure you said Finals. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, Western Conference Finals. And we know how special Steph Curry is. And what I'm watching about the Warriors is their culture. And we know about the Lakers. But it's one team that we're sleeping on right now. It's one team that we're sleeping on. And before I get to that team, let me tell you why I wouldn't pick the Warriors to win it all. Because Draymond Green is not the Draymond Green of old. He still has the high IQ, but his talent has taken a step down, right? He looked like a tight end playing basketball last night. I mean, he looked horrible. But past that, the Utah Jazz are over there just sitting there quiet. The Utah Jazz. And people are sleeping on them. I know last year it didn't end well for them. Mike Conley was hurt in and out of the lineup. But when you look at what they have, they're not lacking at anything. They have rim protection. They have a lob threat in Rudy Gobert. They have Donovan Mitchell, who is a superstar, a walking bucket. Now you pair him alongside Mike Conley, Bogdanovich, who knocked down 3 after 3. You have Joe Ingles, who does all the little things and could shoot the lights out. And then you bring it in Jordan Clarkson, the sixth man of the year, former sixth man of the year from last year. So when I look at the Golden State Warriors, it wouldn't be surprised me if they happen to get to the finals. I wouldn't be surprised. But what I'm telling you, I would not jump on the limb and say, even with a healthy Klay, that they could win the title. They can't win the title because Draymond Green has taken a step back offensively. He used to, remember Stephen A, he had some big moments where Draymond Green used to get 25, 30 points. Yeah, a lot of those games. And we haven't saw that Draymond in a long time.
Let me come back at you with that a couple of things. I'm glad you brought this up because basketball talking, I love it. Here's the deal. I'm going to tell you why I think you're wrong. First of all, there's no doubt that Draymond Green took a step back. But I don't think he's incapable of taking a step forward. What we're really talking about is he lost his shot. Over the last 2 or 3 years, Draymond Green ain't shooting the damn basketball well. But that's about it. When I see his athleticism, when I see his motor, when I see his defensive tenacity and abilities, I don't see shrinkage there. It's just that he's not making shots. He got to get in the gym and continue to work on improving his perimeter shot. That's a tall ask. I get that. But that's it. What I would also say to you, KP, is this. They won a title with Andrew Bogut. They won a title with Zsa Pachulia, okay? I don't care. James Wiseman, he comes back healthy with Looney as a backup, with Jordan Poole, with Andrew Wiggins, all right, with the Otto Porters of the world, with Damian Lee. Let's not forget him. I think they got a shot. Now let me get to your point about Utah. I love me some Donovan Mitchell. And please, I would ask that if you